The future of the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, is once again up in the air. Yesterday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to restore aspects of the recently shuttered department.
Yeah, just last month, crews were seen removing the USAID sign from its headquarters in the nation's capital. Well, now a district judge in Maryland has ruled that the swift closure by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, quote, likely violated the Constitution in multiple ways. President Trump slammed the ruling on Fox News last night.
We have a judge from a very liberal state who ruled like that. So bad for our country.
So I guess they closed the department. They're going to have to reopen
Well, we'll
the
be
department.
appealing it, I guess. Not I guess. I guarantee you. We will be appealing it. We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
To help us break down the ruling, we have NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach and legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Gary, good morning. That's a new title for you, so congratulations on that. We're happy to have you with us on this. First, tell us more about what this judge has ordered the government to do and also to stop doing.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Yeah, that's right. So a federal judge ordered to basically restore the systems of USAID. That means emails. That means payment systems to make sure these employees and contractors can get paid. And it also means the security notifications for folks that are in foreign countries around the world. The judge also ordered DOGE cannot order any buildings, whether it's the headquarters here in D.C. or any of their satellite offices around the country or world, closed. And they said none of this can be ordered by DOGE itself. They have to have a USAID official with authorization to make these orders happen, to be able to make that happen. Now, this is a real a pattern that we've seen here of judges from around the country trying to reinstate the pieces of USAID that they can. This judge we saw with the systems and access. We saw another judge trying to bring back the payments for contractors around the country and the grants and funds around the world. And then we also saw the probationary workers of USAID also reinstated in the past few days. Guys.
So Danny, this appears to be the first time we're really seeing a judge specifically call out Elon Musk and his role at DOGE. What's the judge saying about how this could violate the Constitution?
Well, more specifically and beyond Elon Musk, the judge goes into great detail about how USAID was originally formed by executive order. Now, during that time, for about 30 years, presumably, it could have been unexecutive ordered. But in 1998, Congress made it official by statute. And Congress generally creates and abolishes agencies, not the president. So the court concluded that irrespective of Elon Musk, and that was a major part of the discussion, but the idea that the executive branch can simply shutter an agency without congressional authority, that itself exceeds the power of the executive. It also went into great length discussing how Elon Musk, saying he's just an advisor but acting as more than an advisor, is not just being an advisor.
Gary, President Trump has said that the dismantling of these federal agencies ultimately is helping to get rid of waste and fraud, something he also highlighted last night on Fox. But for those that actually work with USAID, what are they saying about the impact of shutting it down rapidly?
Yeah, the phrase move fast and break things is a phrase that has been co-opted by Elon Musk for a lot of what's happening with DOGE. And I think that describes aptly what's happening here. Workers at USAID have called this catastrophic, the impact that this has already had on the programs and grants and funds that are happening around the world. And it's two issues specific to the Trump administration that they find most important that are really being impacted here. The southern border is being impacted here because of the root causes of migration that some of the USAID programs were helping to cause, to stop from happening and to really mitigate there. Also in Israel and Gaza, they were part of the aid programs that were in Israel, that were in Gaza, that were helping people out. Two issues very important to the Trump administration that are no longer getting the support they necessarily need.
So, Danny, did the judge leave some room for the Trump administration to potentially shut down USAID down the road? I mean, is it clear how long this reinstatement might last?
Not only yes, but absolutely. And that's why I caution folks, before I've read the headlines today, beware of the headlines that say Trump suffers smackdown at the hands of judge, because that's not really what this is. If this is a victory, it's kind of a hollow one for a number of reasons. The relief ordered is both partial and temporary. It's an injunction, which means it has a limited time period, and eventually it will expire. It also essentially, like many of these decisions, gives the Trump administration a blueprint. Hey, here's what you did wrong. You can go back and do it right. And if the problem, for example, is Elon Musk's involvement, then they know now they can step it back in a way that will pass constitutional muster. But make no mistake about it, restoring access to USAID for an agency that's already been shuttered is kind of like giving CPR to a dead body, because what is even left of USAID at this point, that what employees even are interested in coming back and accessing their email and resurrecting what's left of the shell of an agency?
Hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Exactly. Better analogy. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.